Hi, hello, it is me, Noel. Welcome back to my channel. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Yes, so I am very excited to talk about this video because I did a very extensive research on this whole Jughead dying, not dying, it's a setup, it's not a setup, what exactly is going on, because, you know what, I'm a little too white right now. Not saying that's a bad thing because the sun's right in my face, but let's add a little something to my face so I look a little, not like this, you know? I'll be right back. Okay, if I can press pause. Okay, and now back to your scheduled programming. It's crazy what red lipstick can do to your face with nothing else, right? Like, I'm not hyping myself up, I'm just saying, it's crazy. It did add a difference. But also the white against the red of the lipstick, there you go. Okay, so I got this, one of my friends on Twitter actually sent me a DM, I hope she doesn't mind me saying her name, at Epic Handon. If you don't know what Handon is, it's Hope Michelson and Landon Kirby from Legacies, also one of my one true pairings, love them so fucking much. Literally, I watch so many videos of theirs, and when I mean so many, I mean ones I've seen thousands, not thousands, let's not go dramatic, but at least more than probably 40 times. Yeah. I just get in the mood for Hope and Landon videos. Like, they're just soulmates. True love, dude. Like, you can't tell me otherwise. The show's said it enough that, you ain't telling me otherwise. But anyways, sorry. So, she said, you should do theories on the flash forwards we got so far for the Jughead's Dead storyline and how you think they'll come together. Like, 1 was the spring break senior year, when they're covered in blood. 2 was the spring break when Jughead is missing. 3 is FP and Betty identifying Jughead's body. 4 is spring semester when they get arrested, and also Brett and Donna identify them. Why, I don't know why I was doing that, but like Brett and Donna. And 5 is a recent flash forward we got of Betty killing Jughead. So, I've been doing a lot of research. I tried to film this video, like, way before, but this is not, like, an excuse. This is just me, and I'm sorry I can't just push through it. If I can't get in that mindset of making a video, it's just not gonna work. I could sit here and talk and then just stop talking because I can't do it, you know? So, here it is. Now, mind you, I have not watched the episode that came on last night. I recorded it, I'm gonna watch it today. But I didn't want to watch it before I made this, even though I could watch it and be like, oh, everything I just said probably isn't going to happen now. But whatever, I'm telling you what I think so far. So, the first thing I wanted to do was, now this is, okay, wait, what? Literally, my phone is trying to get me to buy stuff off Hot Topics so much. I literally was on a website for, like, I have it on my phone, you know, so I can get the website just by clicking. And instead of going to the website I put on my phone, it went to Hot Topic. I don't know why. So I want to read this real quick. Okay, this was by a website called Fansided, and it said, is Jughead going to die? 5 theories about Jughead's fate in Riverdale Season 4. So I wanted to read these real quick. Okay. This flash forward goes hand in hand with what we've seen over the course of the first half of the season. It appears Jughead Jones is going to die at some point in this 4th season. Okay, so they have a few theories. Number 5 is Jughead is actually going to die. Now, they said, I don't think this is actually what is happening here, and that's why it is worth pointing out. At this point, I don't actually think Jughead is going to die. He's too important to the series, and since Riverdale is coming back for Season 5, Cole Sprouse is probably coming back for the new season. Remember, he's the narrator of the story. You kill the narrator of the story, and the story ends, right? Well, maybe. Not really, because in 13 Reasons Why, Hannah was the narrator, and then 3rd season, it was that new girl, Ani. So, it's not really true. They could easily change the narrator, but when it comes down to it, Jughead is my narrator. Like, I couldn't imagine anyone else narrating but him. I could probably get used to the person, depending on who they are, but Jughead will always be my favorite. Like, he's my favorite character, my favorite narrator. Like, I just love him to death. But also, that's not to say I'm against if he does die, and it has nothing to do with Bughead, calm down. It's just the fact that it would just be crazy. Like, I just wouldn't expect it, you know? And I'll get more into why he might be dead. So, okay. So that was 5. Now, 4. Okay. Wait, I didn't read it all. Let me see. Wait, where am I? I'm sorry, guys. This thing's moving way too fast. Okay. Everything we have seen so far in Season 4 is pointing to Jughead being dead. We saw his body, we saw Betty with the rock, we saw Archie and Betty and Veronica in the lineup, and the Quill and Skull Club confirming to the police that they saw Archie, Betty, and Veronica doing something. No, not the Quill and Skull Club. Brett and Donna. There's a big difference, okay? Yeah, they're in the club. You know, they're in that secret society. But it was just Brett and Donna. Because apparently, that's something else I found out. Joan and Jonathan, also in this society, have no last names. And I'm just super curious. Like, I know they're not that big of characters, but still, like, they don't have a last name. It just kind of, like, makes me think. Hold on. I swear to God, this thing tries to fucking get me to update. Either way, but just like I know it could be nothing, but it's also at the same time it's like even the guidance counselor who was in there for one episode had like a full name, last name, everything. I don't know. I know Joan and Jonathan aren't that big of characters, but still, like, I don't know. It's just something I think about. Okay. Riverdale's pounding the whole Jughead is dead storyline into our brains so much that it feels like they want us to start thinking he's dead. Now, a lot of people go off that they tried to make us think that Jughead was dead at the end of Season 2 when Penny and the Ghoulies, you know, fucking beat him to a pulp. So a lot of people are like, oh, they already tried to fake us out with Jughead's dead and he wasn't even dead. And maybe they were preparing us for his actual death. Just something to think about. Okay. That, when it appears that he's going to live, they'll pull the rug out from under us and have been... Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, storyline into our brains so much that it feels like they want us to start thinking he's not dead. Then, when it appears that he's going to live, they'll pull the rug out from under us and he'll have been dead the whole time. That's what I'm thinking, and I'm going to get to that. So if this theory is right, Riverdale is accurately setting up Jughead's death, but by intentionally being so heavy-handed in the presentation. They are actually tricking fans into a false sense of security and making them think Betty, Archie, and Veronica and Jughead will get out of whatever predicament they find themselves in. I feel like it's more Jugheads with the Stonewall Prep. Because let's be honest, it's Stonewall Prep versus Jughead, you know? Brett and Donna didn't witness nothing. I'm sorry, because if they did, they would have said it was Betty, not all 3 of them. I mean, unless you just saw all 3 of them over his body or getting rid of it, that's different. But you said you said to FP, those are the 3 we saw kill Jughead Jones. But if that was the case, you would have saw it was only Betty, if she actually did kill him. So right there is a red flag, and also you can notice FP ain't believing that shit. So, okay, another one. 4. Jughead wants to stop the Quill and Skull. This seems like the most obvious explanation. There are so many weird connections between Jughead's past, his grandfather, the missing 4 students, the Baxter Brothers book, and the Quill and Skull. For this is not to be what Jughead's death is about. We know the subject of the next Baxter Brothers is the perfect murder. And we know Jughead, although he was just initiated in the Quill and Skull, has always been the outsider at Stonewall Prep, and they've made sure to let him know that, especially Brett. While Jughead could be trying to write this book, could the rest of the Quill and Skulls be planning the perfect murder of Jughead? It's very well possible. I mean, it very well is. All 4 of them, or Brett and Donna even, are working together to perfect murder is, in fact, killing someone, Jughead Jones, and getting away with it. I mean, they would go to those lengths. Let's not act like Brett wouldn't go to those lengths, and Donna's right by his side all the fucking time. I mean, trying to scare someone with a fucking axe, an actual axe. You're telling me that you couldn't get anything else but an actual axe? Do you just have those lying around? That's what gets me. It's like, oh, we were just trying to scare him. But why would you have an actual axe? And then why is fucking Donna around the corner? Like, that makes no sense to me. What are you doing? I just don't feel comfortable with someone hiding and then another person being right there. Because you would have never known if she came behind you, if she didn't say anything. So I just don't... that gets me off every time. Okay, it seems possible... Okay. It seems possible. There were all those other kids to go missing at Stonewall Prep. Could this be some kind of Quill and Skull ritual? Every couple of decades, the club tries to get away with murder? I don't know. Or they do their initiation, where in Jughead's case, they locked him in a coffin overnight to where he honestly could have had an asthma attack, a panic attack. He really could have died. It's just possible. You know, it's not like a highly possible thing, but it is very possible. And what's to say those 4 kids that went missing were initiated by that, like in a different way, and they ended up dying in the process, and so the school got rid of the bodies and just said they dropped out and left. I'm just saying. The kicker could be that Jughead learns of their plot to kill him, and then he decides to go along with it to take down the Quill and Skull, along with Brett, Stonewall Prep, and the rest of these horrible people down with them. Now, the only thing about that is, apparently, since we all know that Brett was filming Betty and Jughead in their dorm room, you know, having sex and all that, it's been said that Jughead's going to have to pick a side because Brett has this sex tape of Betty. It hasn't been confirmed as far as I'm concerned, but I have seen a lot of, you know, he has to pick a side because Brett does have this sex tape, you know, over his head. So it's either you pick our side or your sex tape is going to be released to the world, which, again, a normal person would get in trouble for illegally filming a sexual act, but considering it's Brett, yeah, you know, that ain't gonna happen. So yeah, that was the theories. So I just wanted to tell you all oh wait, did I even read all the theories? I went down to 4. It went to Hot Topic again. I swear to fucking God, this is the weirdest shit. Oh my God. Stop it. I don't need any more Hot Topic. Stop telling me Hot Topic. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to click on the next one to get more theories. Okay. 3. Jughead wants to stop Francis DuPont. Ugh, I still don't like that dude. Sorry, do not. I still feel so weird in my stomach, like, about him signing that contract. I just feel like it wasn't just signing a contract to be the next ghostwriter of Baxter Brothers. I feel like it's so much more than that. Not to mention DuPont saying, you know, along the lines of, as long as you play by our rules, that, you know, what are your rules? Covering up murder? Killing people? Maybe the Quill and Skull aren't actually bad after all. Maybe the real villain of the season is actually Francis DuPont, who takes over for Mr. Chipping after his death. Bitch, everyone in those 4 in the Quill and Skull Society and in the Literary Society are evil fucking people. Like, I'm sorry. Like, we haven't seen that much of Joan and Jonathan doing bad things or really see them at all, but they did also help lock Jughead in a coffin, and I still think that's pretty fucking sick. Okay. We already know Jughead got on DuPont's bad side early in the season by accusing him of stealing his grandfather's story. I can't imagine a toxic dude like himself is just going to let that one slide. Which is true. I mean, let's be totally real. Even though I understand, like, he's accusing him of stealing something, and if he didn't do it, like, which according to his grandfather he didn't, that's going to make you mad that someone's actually accusing you that your work isn't actually your work. But he also really unleashed the truth about how he feels about Jughead, his grandfather, and his dad, and the whole family, you know? So, like, I don't really think you like Jughead as much as you pretend to a lot of the times. Because regardless of how angry you got and stuff, you let the truth come out about how you feel about him and his family. So, yeah. Now, there's an interesting theory on Reddit about the emotionless reactions by the Quill and Skull kids when Mr. Chipping jumps out the window. Their reactions are very similar to how Archie and Betty and co. look after Jughead's death. The theory states that the Quill and Skull Society has been hypnotized in a similar way to how others have been hypnotized at the farm, and the whole tangerine thing. Could DuPont know some sort of hypnotism and mind control to make all the others do his bidding? He then would use those around him, possibly the Quill and Skull and Betty, Archie, and Veronica, to kill Jughead. In this scenario, Jughead then would learn the plan and somehow re-hypnotize everyone to go along with the plan, which would allow Jughead to catch DuPont. I don't know how realistic it is, but it is very interesting. I don't see that, sorry. Okay, I like this theory, but it also requires some parts of the other theories and some part of mind control or hypnotism to make Betty, Archie, and Veronica think they actually killed Jughead. Jughead, as we know, usually gets in way too deep with his investigations, and he has no problem ruffling some feathers. It's pretty clear that this is already the case in Season 4, and there are some high-level mysteries that still need to be solved, include Mr. Chipping's death, and the Baxter Brothers books, the Quill and Skull Society, Charles, Evelyn, and of course the videotapes. Oh yeah, the guy who's been videotaping people's houses, and it's going to get worse. Apparently it's going to start going inside the houses, which I already called that. Could the persons behind the videotapes blackmail Jughead into faking his own death? What about Charles? If Jughead becomes too wrapped up in one of those mysteries, and his presence is causing his friends to be in danger, I have no doubt Jughead won't somehow fake his death to make for sure his friends and family are safe. It's already happened once before in the series. Betty and Jughead fake his death to stop Charles, and this is my favorite of all series. Jughead's death has virtually nothing to do with all the perfect murder stuff, the Baxter Brothers books, or Stonewall Prep. It's all about this season's big bad, Charles. The theory was posted on Reddit by user Gentle Critter, and I think it has to be what is going to happen. We know by now that Charles and Chick, and likely Evelyn, and probably others, are working together to secretly torment Betty and convince her that something is wrong with her. They want her to think she is a serial killer and actually become one. Basically, the theory alleges that Charles had known Hal before Hal went looking for him at the hostel, and Charles felt more of a kinship with the serial killer than he did with the mother who abandoned him. If Hal helped Charles, the FBI agent might have no problem continuing the Black Hood's mission of tormenting and punishing the people of Riverdale, especially Alice and Betty. Charles can succeed by destroying Betty's confidence in herself and convincing her that she is a killer. If she actually kills someone, they'll punish her and Alice forever. It's the best way to take revenge after Alice abandoned Charles as a baby and Betty was integral in stopping the Black Hood. Betty and Jughead are the two smartest characters in the series, and if this theory is to be believed, they decided to use Charles and Chick's plan against them. Betty kills Jughead, and they somehow flush out Charles and Chick for all their crimes. We've seen Jughead pitted against his classmates at Stonewall Prep, but it's possible they could start working with Jughead and Betty if it suited their interest. Maybe. I mean, what could they need, though? But, like, maybe. I mean, Charles does not like Jughead, so I don't really know about all that. I don't know exactly, but all these younger characters will start working together to stop the big bad. So, that is basically 5 theories about Jughead Jones. Now, okay, so these are just pages of other things I wrote about Riverdale, so that's just gonna go here. So, I got all these pages, front and back, of just, like, research I did, because I really wanted to research Brett and, like, Donna. Those were my main ones. Yeah, I've got a lot. Oh, shit, I ripped the page. Yeah, so basically, all these. But that's okay. So, okay. So, the flash-forward scenes leading to Jughead's death. So, the first one we see, like I said, is spring break. Archie, Betty, and Veronica covered in blood, burning their clothes, along with Jughead's beanie. Now, in this, I really tried to study it. This is just how I studied it. It doesn't have to be everyone's way of seeing it, but this is how I seen it. How I saw it was Archie is in shock. Definitely, I feel like Archie is in shock. Jughead might actually be dead. Archie has blood. See, this is where it gets weird. Archie has blood on his neck dripping down, probably from carrying Jughead's body. Why do they have blood on their body if they were wearing clothes? Veronica doesn't have much blood on hers. And then, okay, Veronica doesn't have much blood on hers. And then Betty goes on to say, we go our separate ways. It's the only way we won't get caught. And so that's what I had to say about the first one. But what I noticed is the blood on them is weird. Like, it was splattered on their bodies. This is the only thing that gets me. Like, Archie definitely seems in shock. It seems like a really real, like, thing. But I also feel like maybe they're just playing it for the people who are actually trying to kill Jughead, you know? They're trying to make sure he's actually dead, and so they're watching them. But the thing, because why I say that is because I just feel like it's weird, because they had, like, if Jughead really was dead, like, he was bleeding from his, head wound, so obviously if Archie picked him up over his shoulders, blood would drip down, but if him, Veronica, and Betty had clothes on, why were they still covered so much in blood with their clothes off? And it was almost like it was splattered on there, like it wasn't actual blood. I mean, I don't know, it could be possible, but at the same time, I just don't understand how, if you did get rid of his body, you were obviously wearing clothes, which is why you're burning them. So why do you have blood on your body? It just doesn't really make sense to me. And then Veronica has, like, no blood on her body, like, barely any. So that's definitely something that throws me off, because it's like, it just looks splattered on, like it was planted, you know, like it's not actually blood. I mean, that whole scene is pretty serious and stuff, but that's not to say they're just playing. So that's one thing that definitely throws me off. If you like go back and look at it, it definitely throws me off. And also, when Betty tells Archie to throw Jughead's beanie in the fire, which his iconic beanie, that's the thing that a lot of people were like, oh my god, is he dead? Like, that's his iconic beanie. Like, iconic beanie. You, like, never see him without it. That is his beanie. So, like, for them to burn it was, like, literally, like, a jaw-dropping moment of, could he be dead? Like, this is Jughead's beanie, you know? So, whenever she told him to throw it in, Betty, my personal opinion is Betty seemed cold, like, when she said it, but she also looked away after Archie threw it in the fire. So, like, oh, wait, okay. But when she said that, but she also looked away after she said, oh, okay. So when she said throw it in the fire, you know, his beanie, she said it all cold-like, but she also looked away after she said it as if to kind of like, I don't want to see this, you know? And it seems legit. I also put this, it seems legit, but I don't know for sure because, again, I was still looking, because I, again, thought about that whole blood spatter thing, and it's just like, it just throws me off. It throws me off. Like, that blood, the way it's positioned and how it's on your body, it's not even in your hair. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me, you know? So, that's the first one. And now, why I say in the woods this is happening, because throughout the season, all I ever hear is the North Woods, and that's where, you know, Jughead had to go to do this initiation into the Quill and Skull Society, so I always just go back to North Woods. I don't know if it's right or not, but I'm sticking with the North Woods. And also, if Brett and Donna really did see them kill him, you know, then at least it would have to be in the North Woods, because where else would you go? You don't go anywhere else, so. And that is where you do your Quill and Skull stuff. Now, 2. Spring break looking for Jughead. Now, FP seems serious about this. Now, I know they could be playing it and stuff, and also, you want to make sure you seem sincere and serious about finding your son when there's a ton of people around, even if you did fake his disappearance or his death, whatever. So, FP seems serious about this. Now, Jughead is just missing at this point. Betty, I noticed that Betty definitely did seem worried. Like, she was definitely yelling. Same with Kevin, you know, she was looking all over. She definitely seemed worried. But the only thing I noticed is Archie and Veronica weren't yelling his name. Like, maybe they were and we didn't see it, but when it focused on, like, Betty and Kevin and Archie and Veronica right behind there, everyone else seemed to be yelling, but Veronica and Archie just seemed to kind of be looking around or just walking, and, you know, he just had his flashlight. And I don't know, I'm not saying they killed him and stuff, I'm just saying it was weird, because, like, even, I guess maybe we just didn't see it, but it was weird to see Kevin and Betty, like, yelling, looking around and stuff, and instead you have Veronica and Archie. Veronica's just kind of doing her own thing, looking with her umbrella, and then Archie's just kind of going with his flashlight, but you think they would yell his name. So that's something that always kind of sticks in the back of my head. I don't know. You know, I'm just trying to think. It could mean nothing, but, like, it's just something that you notice and you're like, just saying. Okay, now something I noticed. Number 3, coroner's office. This is when FP and Betty identified Jughead's body on a slab at the coroner's office. Now, what I noticed is that in number 2, spring break, when they're looking for Jughead and they're in the woods, I noticed that FP and Betty are wearing the exact same clothes when they identify Jughead's body at the coroner's office. So I'm assuming that during the search of looking for Jughead, someone stumbles upon him, whether it be FP, whether it be Betty, whoever it may be, someone stumbles upon him. And because I noticed a lot of people were like, oh, FP didn't really have a reaction and stuff, but you gotta think he might have been the one to find his son, you know? I'm sure a lot of people would want to hold him back, but at the end of the day, he's gonna want to see his son, and he most likely either discovered the body or maybe when they found it, he ran right over there, so he could have had his reaction at the scene, you know? I mean, if he's already seen that his son is, like, gone, it's like he probably had that reaction at the scene, but also it could be that they're just playing into it, but, because, I mean, the coroner, you know, pay him off and he'll do whatever, so, but still. So I said, yeah, they're wearing the same clothes as they were when they were searching for Jughead in the woods. Now I said this, FP's reaction seems genuine, but maybe not emotional enough. I also put he might have found him and already reacted. Betty is calm, but taken aback. She lets out a sigh of relief, like I can finally breathe. Like when she sees like Jughead's body on the slab, it's kind of like she lets out a breath of air that she's been holding in. That's just how I kind of seen it, you know. So that's what I want to say about that. Now, number 4 are the flashbacks. Now we have biology class, spring semester. Archie, Betty, and Veronica are in their science class. Now, FP barges in to arrest them for the cold-blooded murder of his son, Jughead Jones. Now, this seems pretty serious. I mean, FP has a very serious, like, determined, like, angry, like, not really angry, but, like, you're going down, like, kind of face, you know? And again, it could just be all for play as I get into it. Now, he barges in to arrest them. Before he even had a chance to finish Archie's name, Veronica already stood up. Like, before he even finished Archie's name, Veronica stood up, quick. Like, they were waiting for this to happen. That's one thing. It seemed like they were kind of waiting for this to happen, but also, like, shook and scared. Veronica looks, this is another thing, Veronica looks scared at first, yet Betty looks right away at Archie when this is going on, as he looks at her. So, that's definitely something I noticed, that when he barges in, Veronica, you know, stands up and she looks scared and stuff, but Betty right away looks at Archie, and Archie right away looks at Betty, as if they know something, or they're hiding something, like, same thing, hiding something, knowing something. I feel like Betty and Archie might know more than they're letting on, because it was just, or maybe this is after they actually killed him, which I'll get into, I don't know, but it was just odd to see Betty and Archie look at each other so quickly, instead of, like, you know, it's like, I feel like there's something they're hiding, you know? So, as I go on, Veronica's face goes to shit. Okay, so looks at Archie. Then Veronica's face goes to shit, we got caught. So that's just kind of how I try to explain it. It's like her face kind of went like, her face kind of looked like that person who's like, fuck, we just got caught. Like, you know, that kind of like look. FP seems serious, but then again, if this is all fake, which better way for people to believe Jughead is really dead and that these 3 killed him than to say it in a classroom full of people, including many of their friends. However, like I said, Betty and Archie, I definitely think, are hiding something. Betty looks at Veronica. She looks away at FP very quickly. And then after that, it goes to Brett and Donna witness them, meaning the 3 of them, meaning Veronica, Archie, Betty, kill Jughead Jones. Now, they witnessed them, Betty, Archie, and Veronica, kill Jughead Jones. They witnessed it. Witnessed it. Mind you, witnessed it. Okay? Now, yet FP doesn't seem to believe them, which they're so calm about saying it, first of all, and it's like they already had in their head, they're ready to say it, and FP just is like, I don't really think so, you know, he just doesn't believe them, because he knows what they did to Jughead at Stonewall Prep, and the fucking psychotic shit they're into and do, and just crazy shit, and maybe he knows about the sex tape, and I honestly think this could be when, see, the only thing is, they get arrested, and then they have the Brett and Donna lineup, which leads you to believe it's connected, because of course they get arrested and then the lineup, but like if FP doesn't even show that he believes them, then it makes me think that maybe this is happening when they're saying Jughead is dead, but he's really not. But this is a way to try and catch Brett and Donna. Because, I mean, by saying in a classroom full of people that Archie, Betty, and Veronica are under arrest for the murder of Jughead Jones, I'm sure Brett and Donna hear that and probably think, ooh, we're going to get away with it. And then, oh, yeah, come in, you know who did it. And then by saying you witnessed it, it's kind of like, I mean, first off, why didn't you come sooner? And, yeah, so I definitely think, there could be a plan in motion at this point, only because FP doesn't believe them. So that's why it makes me think that maybe at this time the plan of Jughead being dead is going on. But once I get further in, I'm going to tell you about what I really think might happen. So, number 5 is 4 weeks later, Archie, Betty, and Veronica find Jughead's body. He has a massive wound to his right side of his head. Archie seems sincere. Now, Archie does. Archie runs up to him and is, checking, and it's like he's dead, And then he's like, what did you do, Betty? And, of course, it goes to Veronica, and Veronica's, kind of, shook, too, and she looks over at Betty. Betty looks down at her hands, covered in blood, and a rock covered in blood that could easily be the murder weapon for killing Jughead. I honestly do believe she was hypnotized. I really do believe she was hypnotized, because she literally, when she looked down and saw that and looked back up, she literally looked like she have no clue what happened. She doesn't seem to know what happened. It literally looked like she's just completely what? You can tell she doesn't remember what happened. You can definitely tell. Because let's be totally realistic, Dark Betty has unleashed herself. Maybe that was their plan all along, was getting the real Dark Betty, the one inside Betty Cooper, to really come out and, kind of use her as their puppet. Because like I said, Charles, don't trust, he's definitely someone who... I definitely think Charles, Chick, and Evelyn want to take down Betty, and I think a great way for them to do that is having her kill the love of her life, or, her boyfriend, whatever you want to call him. I think that's something that would destroy a person so much, and I think at the end of the day, by destroying her, that's their, that would be good enough for them. I mean, and also setting her up for murder and shit, but I just don't see Veronica and Archie really giving her up, which is why it's it's better if we go our separate ways and stuff like that. But I'm not saying that's connected. But yeah, so that's something to think about, because I definitely think, I also do feel like Mr. Chipping is the big bad, because the one thing, they always say this in Riverdale, they're like, until you see a body, they're not dead. And yeah, we've seen Jughead, see his body on the ground, but he call an ambulance, even if he is dead, call an ambulance, and everyone in that room, Brett and all them, were just didn't care. And I don't know, because how they described Mr. Chipping before he came in was wait, let me get the exact quote. Okay, I just realized I have a page of fucking Mr. Chipping, so we'll get back onto that later. Okay, so what did you do, Betty? And Betty's face in shock. She doesn't understand. I 100% believe she was hypnotized. Or that night she punched her mirror and Alice came in and she was like, I'm fine. I was just making sure everything was good, And it was oh shit. I think this was, I think this was their way of unleashing the actual Dark Betty. I really do. She thought she killed the inner Dark Betty, but maybe that wasn't the moment she became Dark Betty. Maybe, mental illness isn't just something that happens. I think it's something, you're born with or you develop over time. So I do feel like that probably wasn't the moment. I feel like maybe she always had this darkness inside her. Her father's a fucking serial killer, so right there kind of, and she does have the serial killer gene. So I feel like this darkness is always in her and always probably will be. It's just how she's going to handle it and move past it and not let it control her. I'm sorry, there's a smudge on my screen and it's really bothering me. Now I moved it around. Okay, sorry, getting back on topic. Okay. What happened? She looks down at her hands, confusing, blah, 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 blah. Okay, Veronica's shook. You can tell this isn't a joke or part of whatever plan they have or had. I don't believe this is a part of the plan that Jughead, Archie, Betty, and Veronica had in mind. I really don't. I really don't think this is a plan they had in mind. So, now leading up to this, we see that Betty hasn't gotten rid of her dark side, and one word said 3 times, and Dark Betty comes out to play. Or is another word used? Did they move on from Tangerine, or is that the word that gets Dark Betty to come out? Because I do feel, ever since she smashed that mirror, I do feel like Dark Betty's gonna be a lot more out, like, inside her, and I feel like it's gonna come out at times when she either wants it or when she even doesn't want it. I feel like she might have unleashed Dark Betty kind of a little more. I don't know. I just feel like Dark Betty is not gone. I don't believe Dark Betty is gone. I'm sorry. I just don't believe it. Alice, you could see her face when she saw the mirror that she don't believe it. Like, it's just, I mean, already I don't trust Charles, and already I know he's out to get Betty, and I mean, he's fucking lovers with Chick, and I mean, come on, like, 2 people who are out to get Betty. I mean, Chick's in prison basically because of Betty, you know, and of course Archie, all them, you know, Cheryl coming to the rescue and all that stuff. But like, yeah, so like, he of course has a vendetta against Betty and stuff, and so, like, what was I going to say? Yeah, so I already don't trust Charles. So, like, what are the odds? This is what gets me. Because Evelyn said that she would, like, she's been, like, talking to people in prison and stuff, and she, you know, can easily make them kind of brainwashed, I guess you could say, and get them to do things for her. And that makes me think, then, if that's the case, why can Charles do it? He isn't brainwashed or know you, right? So how is he able to do it? Because that would mean everyone could do it. That's one thing that's always bugged me, is that how he could easily hypnotize her. But how? Just because you're an FBI agent doesn't mean you could fucking hypnotize her. And that's something that's always threw me off. And also the fact that he's been in Riverdale longer than he said. And I don't know if I said this in the beginning, sorry I've been talking so long. But someone, you know, was saying how they believe, like, you know, when Hal went to, you know, see his son that him and Alice gave up for adoption, you know, that his son found a kindred spirit in his serial killer dad, and, you know, he worked with them over time and stuff. Like, I do believe Charles has been around a lot longer, for sure. And who's ever watching these houses, you know, is getting closer and closer, and it's getting dangerous, like, way more dangerous. And it's just like, there's so many bad people right now. But one thing that I know is that you have Charles, Chick, and Evelyn after Betty the most. Like, Betty is their goal. Betty is the one they want to destroy. And I mean, look at Charles. He tricked FP, Alice, and Betty into saying that Chick was going to give up the spot of the dead body, which is crazy because Chick was nowhere to be seen. He was in the fucking house at the time, so I understand he was there, but, you know, they believed it. So FP and Charles went and took care of it, and so now Charles knows where the actual body is, you know, has whatever evidence, and of course now can take them down. It's like, I don't remember your dad, Hal Cooper, wanting to keep you either, bitch. But of course, he's a serial killer, and you too are a serial killer, I'm sure, so you relate to that. But yeah, he's definitely the brains out of the him and Chick group, you know, trio. So, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, so now I'm on to Brett. Sorry this is so long. But Brett Weston Wallace. He is in the Literary Society and Quill and Skull Society. Okay. Okay. So it's very clear he does not like Jughead. Tried to scare him with a real axe. Filmed him and Betty having sex. Fucking disgusting. Locked him in a coffin overnight, as did the other 3. As an initiation into the Literary Society, which is beyond crazy because I've been in writing groups and never have I needed to be initiated in. Like, you want to be initiated into a Literary Society, then why not just have them write something and you decide, you're not good enough for this class. But instead, you're hazing and possibly killing people in the process, because 4 missing students. Okay. Coffin overnight. Okay. Him and Donna said they saw Betty, Archie, and Veronica kill Jughead, like I said. Jughead was chosen as the new ghostwriter of Baxter Brothers, which we know Brett wanted and expected because, of course, he has power and money. Well, his father does. So he's Mr. Golden Boy. Don't mess with him. Fucking douchebag bitch. He's always with Donna. Like, a lot of the times it's him and Donna, let's be totally real. After Jughead gets out of the coffin, to which he could have died, Donna says, Jughead belongs now. Fucking psychotic. Yeah, they were probably trying to get him to leave, because they're like, you can leave if you want to, and he's like, I am not leaving. You can't scare me that easy, bitch. Okay, now moving on. Now, okay. The perfect murder. Now, 4 people have gone missing within the 30 years. They're called the Stonewall 4. Now, 4 people have gone missing within 30 years from Stonewall Prep. Now, those 4 people have disappeared the same way, very similar to how Moose disappeared, which I will get more into. But we all know the Baxter Brothers' new thing is the perfect murder, which is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy that of all times to pick that, you have Jughead there. It's like you're setting him up for death. I don't know. Now on to Mr. Chipping. Is Mr. Chipping really dead? We never saw his dead body. No reaction out of Brett, Donna, Joan, and Jonathan. He was said to be a bad guy, yet killed himself. And what I put here? Oh, that was something else. Okay, Donna Sweet. She said, I'm not ashamed of anything I do. Now, she said this to Jughead whenever he saw her and Moose. And he was like, oh, I didn't know, And she's like, I'm not ashamed of anything I do, So that kind of, when I remembered that, I was like, I'm not ashamed of anything I do. Because I don't think you just mean having sex with Moose, now that I know you. Donna informs Jug that she is texting, because Jug starts to get really worried about Moose, because literally when he went back, and it looked like a murder scene had just been wiped clean, and Moose was nowhere, couldn't get a hold of him, it's scary, it's weird, like, he disappeared, like, it's like he was never there. It was the most eerie scene I've ever seen. So he's really worried, so Donna informs Jughead that she is texting Moose, saying, he is fine, he's busy in basic training. Bitch, please. Bitch, please. You probably helped fucking Brett with those flyers, even Jughead said. Like, bitch, please. She just didn't want Jughead to keep looking into Moose. That's what it is. Now, another thing. She has Mr. Chipping's pin, which is odd. Why would you have his pin? Why would you keep it after he committed suicide? And why would you keep it after ending things with him and him getting aggressive with you and not wanting you to go? Like, it just makes no sense. Like, it really doesn't. I'll get more into it. But, okay. They apparently had an affair, and she ended it, which Mr. Chipping didn't like. He got aggressive. See, there's too many inconsistencies as I go along. She told him if he didn't stop, she would go to the headmaster. The next day, he jumps. Now, what gets me about this is, the next day he jumps, and yet he doesn't say sorry to Donna. He says sorry to Jughead for not being able to do anything. So, if he did jump because of you, I don't think he would bring Jughead into the equation. I mean, maybe he did jump because of that, but I just don't believe this affair. The whole time Donna was telling Betty about it, I was like, crocodile tears. I don't believe you. Keep talking, but I don't believe you. Sorry, Donna, but I don't trust you. You're a psycho just like them all. Now, okay, so DuPont. Now, he chose Jughead as the next ghostwriter for the Baxter Brothers franchise. I don't trust him. He got really angry at Jughead and said how he really felt about his family, like I said. Now, what if Mr. Chipping is the big bad, still alive? They all because think about it, they all played along with his suicide, but Jug saw his body after he jumped. That's the only thing for me is, like, Jughead did see his body after he jumped, but we never... Like, maybe that was confirmation enough, but still, we never saw his body, for sure. Like, we never really saw his body. And then the fact that his family didn't want to look further into it is weird, because they did not know about the affair at this time. She hadn't told the headmaster and stuff. So, like, it's just very odd. No one really cared to investigate or do anything. And perhaps the family was paid off, dude, or they, with the Quill and Soul Society, they have some secrets you don't want to let out, and maybe they showed the family, and the family was like, all right, just don't say it was a suicide, and just please don't put these out. Because by signing the contract, did he sign his death certificate, basically, or sign over his life? DuPont did it to get him to stop digging, or as a patsy. That's how I kind of feel. I don't know, DuPont, I just feel like, it's just odd. He goes back and forth with how he feels about Jughead, and, like, Jughead is an amazing writer, and he does deserve this, but at the same time, is it for DuPont's own reasons? Which probably. Because, like, did he do it to get Jughead to stop digging and to play by the rules of the Quill and Soul Society and the Baxter Brothers franchise? Or the contract he signed, did he sign more than he thought he was signing? It's just, I don't feel right about that contract. I don't know what it is. Or is he using him as a patsy for something that's about to happen? Imagine he comes out and says, oh, well, I don't think he would do that to himself. But it could ruin the Baxter Brothers franchise. I don't know, it just... Also, another thing you got to remember is all former members but Jughead's grandfather and DuPont died in alleged accidents. Boat, car, plane, whatever. Like, the weirdest fucking shit. One was a car accident of someone going over a cliff. I don't know people... Like, I know it could happen, but you're telling me there was a car accident and they went over the cliff? Like they'd never tried to stop, nothing, like, it's just weird. I've gotten more into it over in my past videos. Okay, this is what I said. It was about Jughead's death. It was fake at first, a setup, but at the end it became real. Betty really killed Jughead while hypnotized. And now, wait, let me make sure this is nothing. Okay, and why I say that is, okay, so, sorry, I didn't, like, fully, like, I don't know, I'm trying my best. But why I say that is because I feel like a lot of those flashbacks were, like, I feel like a lot of those flashbacks were a setup for getting the people who are actually trying to kill Jughead, like Donna, Brett, DuPont, oh, that's about Mr. Chipping. That's why another thing why it's like he's dead is, like, when they first were introducing him as in the show, they were saying he was a dark character with, like, a dark surface. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let's tell this about DuPont. Okay, so DuPont said Mr. Chipping had a drinking problem. He had many demons. So Mr. DuPont blamed Mr. Chipping's suicide, well, death, on alcohol misuse, okay? Now, this is what I meant. Mr. Chipping was described as a character having a darkness hidden far beneath the surface. So, with that being said, he was killed way too quick off for us to see any of this that they were saying about his character when he first came on the show. So it makes me think, is he dead or is he not really? Because maybe he's the big bad, truly. Because a darkness hidden far beneath the surface, and yet, what was that, the affair? I don't know, what was it that was far hidden beneath the surface? Not the affair, I'm assuming, But it's just crazy, you have Donna who's, like, thinking he jumped because she ended things. You have DuPont saying it was because of alcohol. And it doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. I'm sorry. Yeah. Roberto said mid-season finale will reveal Jughead's real or true fate. This is another thing. Why? Now, Roberto said mid-season finale will reveal Jughead's true fate, meaning the mid-season finale we saw will reveal his true fate. Now, the ending scene was him dead. Now, dead. But in my opinion, dead. He is dead. Of course, they want, Jughead to stop digging and stuff. Okay, now I can move on. Okay, now this is what I want to say. So, what I think at the beginning it was all a setup, it was a setup to catch the people who really wanted to kill Jughead. It was a setup to take down probably the Quill and Skull Society, to take down Stonewall Prep. Oh, that's something. off track, but this is really quickly I wanted to say. And basically, I watched like the little clip, the little sneak peek of Riverdale episode with Betty, before the episode came on. And basically, it was about the Stonewall Prep football team, Stallions, and how they played dirty. And she was like interviewing different members of different, football teams, and of course, mostly all injured because of Stallions. So basically, what is said, now mind you, I didn't watch the new episode, so I don't know what's going on here, but basically, she asked why don't they do anything about it, and they said Stonewall Prep pays off the reps to look the other way while they get to cheat and injure people. The worse injury, the bigger the bounty. And Betty was like, the bigger the bounty. And the guy was like, the Stonewall coach pays his players to hurt the other team. So there's no one good in Stonewall Prep. I looked up the coach, but there's no name for this coach or anyone who plays him because we haven't seen him yet. But I 100% believe this. Oh yeah, 100%. Stonewall Prep is literally hell in the form of a school. Like, seriously, those kids are just fucking out of their rockers, psycho. Of course, when you have kids who grow up in environments who are spoiled, who have all these fucking opportunities, whose parents have power and money, not all of them grow up to be actual great human beings. Some grow up to be soulless assholes who think they deserve everything because of the position they have because of their family. Like, no, fuck you. Don't care. But yeah, sorry, back on. So what I think is it was all a setup at the beginning, and I think hopefully the setup went through like they wanted, because I do believe it was a setup at the beginning, but I feel like that ending scene, and especially with Roberto saying it, the mid-season finale will reveal Jughead's true fate, it makes me think that maybe he really is dead, because that scene seems so real, and it really did seem like Betty was hypnotized and she didn't remember anything. And so I feel like, they set up this whole plan, it worked and all that stuff. And then I think, Betty having all these people after her and then being able to hypnotize her and her having this dark Betty still in her is not a good combination. And I think that Betty, being hypnotized, went to meet Jughead and ended up killing him because she was hypnotized to do so. And so she killed him. And then Archie and Veronica. See, that's the one thing. Like, was Archie and Veronica with her? Were they not? Oh, she might have called them. But then again, her freaking hands, dude. So that would have made no sense. See, I'm curious. Like, I feel like it was real. I feel like everything was a setup. It was going good. They did it or whatever. And then come, like, after they're done with everything, Betty is hypnotized and kills Jughead because they know that's gonna hit her hard, Which, I mean, at least it wasn't Alice. No. I love Jughead. I don't want him to die. But, like, also, like, that would be fucking crazy if they actually did kill him, But, like, I don't know. That scene just seems so real and stuff. But what gets me is there's no way Betty could have called them because she obviously had blood on her hands and a rock with blood, and she was obviously in that, like, kind of confused state. But yet somehow Archie and Veronica knew to come there. So, like, I'm curious because they didn't see her actually do it. They were just like, what did you do, Betty, Or maybe they were there and they saw her do it. Like, I don't feel like they were there and saw her do it because they would have tried to stop her. Maybe they were all going to meet there, and then this is what they came upon, Jughead dead. That's the one thing I can't wrap my head around is how Archie and Veronica were there, like, I mean, because there's no way she could have called someone with her hands still covered in blood, I mean, for all we know, it could be a setup. It could just be fake. But again, like I said, I really feel like it actually happened. At first he was dead, but now he's actually probably dead. Now, that's probably not going to happen because it is Jughead Jones. People love him. They have a 5th season coming. I mean, I'm pretty sure the writers got more to say with Jughead. I mean, he is a writer and all that. He's amazing. People love him. I love him. And everything. But also, it's like, you can't just keep someone around because people love him and stuff. If it's his time to go or if he wants to leave the show, that's on them, So I'm not saying Jughead's dead for sure or not. Like, I don't really know. Like, that ending scene makes me feel like he really is dead. But there's always these little things that make me think, but how is that possible, you know? So I am very curious to see how this all plays out. And hopefully the mid-season finale didn't, like, give new information to where all this shit is stupid, what I'm saying. But I really quickly wanted to make it because I was, you know, feeling okay and good. And so I wanted to get this out there and post it for you guys. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope that was good enough for you. I hope that's what you wanted, you know. I try to do as much research as I can. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I mean, let me know down below. Do you think Jughead is dead? Do you think he's alive? I mean, I don't know, dude. I really don't. That ending scene really feels real to me. But it's the fact that where we're on Archie and Veronica. Because if they were there, it's just, you think you would know if someone's hypnotized. I don't know. Maybe she just, I don't know, man. Maybe she was just so hypnotized in a way that you couldn't tell. Like, I'm just so curious about that fact. Like, where did Archie and Veronica come from? You know? I don't know. I definitely don't know. Let me see. Quick. It says when they find Jughead's body, it says 4 weeks later. So I'm looking now, and it's like 4 weeks later. Wouldn't that be spring break? And that, if that is the truth, that would mean it coincides with Archie, Betty, and Veronica covered in blood, burning their clothes along with Jughead's beanie. Now, again, like I said, it's weird that Archie and Betty have blood, like, splattered on their body when they were wearing clothes, and yet Veronica has, like, no blood. So, again, remember that. See, it's a lot of things that just, I don't know, it just doesn't add up as much as I would like. So, yeah, that's it. I'm going to go because this is going too long. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more videos like this or whatever, you know, let me know. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, or you don't have to, honestly. And yeah, my next video will be my review of Riverdale, because I will be watching that episode very soon, so stay tuned for that. Yes, and I hope you enjoyed this video, because that's the thesis. So I'm going to go, and yeah. And of course, I can't pause a fucking thing. Okay, now this video is officially going to be fucking an hour long, because I wanted to mention one more thing, because I wrote so much that I didn't realize I missed so much. But there's one more thing I wanted to say. Now, when Brett and Donna said they witnessed, you know, them kill Jughead, FP doesn't seem to believe them. They are so, because Brett and Donna, like, they're emotionless, they're in sync. Now, another thing is, why are Betty and Archie so close in the lineup, but Veronica is farther away? Now, you could say it means nothing, it's just like, that's just how they lined up. But it is odd, you know, usually someone lines up, then someone in the middle, then someone on the other side. But Archie and Betty were a lot closer, which, if you remember when they first got arrested in science class, what's the first thing they did when FP came in? Veronica looked shocked, and Betty looked right at Archie, and Archie looked right at Betty, leading you to think they're hiding something, and then goes towards the lineup, and Betty and Archie are closer, and Veronica's kind of off to the side, which is just something to think about. But again, I don't know, like, I'm honestly so intrigued by this season, I really am, like, I'm so intrigued to see where it goes next, because, like, there's just so many things, like, it's hard to pinpoint things, but, like, I don't know, I just feel like Mr.Chipping's isn't gone. Like, Riverdale always tells you, unless you see a body, they're not actually dead. Which, to be fair, we saw Jughead's body, and you guys are, like, trying to say he's not dead. Like, or, well, some of them, like, mostly fans and stuff. But still, like, we saw his dead body, and people are still thinking he's not dead. But, like, Mr.Chipping, we never fully saw his dead body. And I don't know, he was described to be as this, like, god, like, darkness in him and stuff, and it's like, but he killed himself, you know? Everything I said in this video, it just doesn't add up, you know? It adds up, but it doesn't add up. There's a lot of things that are like, what? Like, you think it's a setup, but then you think maybe it's real. And then I'm at that point where I'm like, it started as a setup, maybe it worked, maybe it didn't, and then it ventured into Betty being hypnotized and actually killing Jughead. So, yeah, I don't know how you're going to go from there in Season 5, especially with Betty dealing with the fact that she killed Jughead, if she really did. So, I don't know, like, how we're going to go about Season 5 if he actually is dead and if he actually did die by Betty. that's definitely going to be something that's going to be interesting and difficult to see. And also, it's, you know, of course, Archie's going to stick by her and Veronica, but maybe, you know, Veronica kind of might want to step away a little bit. I don't know. Maybe, you know, I don't know. We'll see when season 5 comes. We'll see if Jughead's really dead. We'll see what really happens. And then come back to this video and see what came true and see what didn't. Who knows, you know? I'm just speculating and stuff like that. So, yeah. Enjoy. Just had to put this little bit in, and that's it.